Breaking news from around your world on this Monday, May 8th, 2017. I'm Larry Rice. Independent centrist Emmanuel Macron defeated far-right rival Marine Le Pen by a landslide in France's presidential election Sunday. Macron, a political newcomer, said in a speech after the 66 to 34% vote that France had turned a page in our long history. He reached out to supporters of Le Pen who appealed to nationalists with an anti-immigrant France First message, saying that he understood their anger and it was his responsibility to hear them. Macron promised, however, to strengthen both France and Europe. Macron said, "This is our civilization that's at stake, our way of life." He's France's youngest leader since Napoleon Bonaparte and the first president in its modern history not to belong to the center-left or center-right parties. Le Pen conceded, thanking her supporters but saying France had chosen continuity. German Chancellor Angela Merkel says she's very happy that Macron won the presidential election in France, but she appeared cautious about proposals to support Macron's economic reform plans, either by relaxing European spending rules or with a dedicated stimulus fund. Merkel told reporters that we should wait to see what ideas and wishes the new president expresses. Former Acting Attorney General Sally Yates is scheduled to testify before a Senate Judiciary Subcommittee Monday about her warning to top White House officials about contact between President Donald Trump's former National Security Advisor Michael Flynn and Russian Ambassador Sergei Kislyak. The hearing will mark Yates' first appearance on Capitol Hill since Trump fired her for refusing to defend his now withdrawn first executive order restricting travel to the U.S. from several Muslim-majority nations. Yates is expected to testify that she warned White House counsel Don McGahn days after Trump's inauguration that Vice President Mike Pence's statements on Flynn's discussion with Kislyak, which reportedly touched on U.S.-imposed sanctions, were inaccurate, potentially exposing Flynn or others to manipulation by Russia. Former Director of National Intelligence James Clapper is also scheduled to testify before the committee, which is investigating Russia's efforts to influence last year's presidential election. North Korea says it has detained another U.S. citizen, the fourth now taken into custody in the reclusive communist nation. North Korean state media said that the latest detainee, Pyongyang University of Science and Technology professor Kim Hak-song, was arrested on charges of engaging in hostile acts. According to a statement from the Korean Central News Agency, the relevant authority is currently carrying out a detailed investigation into the crime of Kim Hak-song. The case came as tensions are rising between the U.S. and North Korea over Pyongyang's missile and nuclear weapons programs. A State Department official said the U.S. is aware of the latest arrest but declined to comment further. Afghan officials and the Pentagon confirmed that Abdul Hasib Logari, the head of the Islamic State in Afghanistan, was killed last month during an operation conducted by Afghan and U.S. forces. 2 U.S. Rangers were killed during that April 27th raid in the eastern province of Nangarhar, along with 35 ISIS fighters and commanders. Hasib became the terror group's leader in Afghanistan after Hafiz Saeed Khan was killed in a 2016 drone strike. ISIS has been active in the country since 2015. The affiliate, also known as Islamic State Khorasan, has been blamed for several recent attacks, including an assault at Kabul's main military hospital that left dozens of patients and employees dead. Secretary of State Rex Tillerson will meet with his Russian counterpart about the Syria crisis amid a new Russia-led push to create safe zones to lower violence. The State Department and Russia's Foreign Ministry say that Tillerson and Russian Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov will meet in Washington on Wednesday. The following day, both diplomats are scheduled to attend an Arctic Council summit in Alaska. The U.S. says Tillerson plans to discuss with Lavrov efforts to de-escalate violence, provide humanitarian assistance to the Syrian people, and set the stage for a political settlement of the conflict. The two will also discuss Ukraine. The meeting is an indication the Trump administration is working to keep lines of communication open on Syria, where Moscow has significant influence. Texas Governor Greg Abbott, appearing via Facebook Live, signed a bill banning so-called sanctuary cities that refuse to comply with requests from federal authorities to help enforce immigration laws. Under the bill, police can now ask anyone they detain about their immigration status, and officials have to comply with federal requests to hold suspects who might be deported. Abbott said, "We all support legal immigration. It helped build America and Texas, but legal immigration is different from harboring people who've committed dangerous crimes." The bill was opposed by every major police chief in Texas, as well as Democrats and immigrant rights activists who called it unconstitutional and pledged to fight it in court. President Trump's revised temporary travel ban faces a significant test on Monday when a federal appeals court in Richmond, Virginia, will hear arguments on its constitutionality. The first version of the ban, issued in January, restricted travel from 7 majority Muslim countries, even legal permanent residents. Judges blocked the order, and the White House issued a revised ban weeks later, removing Iraq from the list of affected nations and exempting green card holders. But opponents challenged it, citing Trump's vow to ban Muslims from entering the U.S. as proof he was discriminating against Muslims based on their religion in violation of the First Amendment's Establishment Clause. Administration lawyers say the measure does not target Muslims, but is necessary to provide time to improve vetting procedures to keep out terrorists. President Trump's expected to announce 10 appointments to lower federal courts Monday to start what is expected to be a wave of nominations. There are more than 120 openings to be filled. The White House counsel, Don McGahn, said Trump would be fulfilling a promise to appoint strong and principled jurists to the federal bench who will enforce the Constitution's limits on federal power and protect the liberty of all Americans. Jonathan Adler, a law professor at Case Western Reserve University, said Trump's list of expected nominees includes incredibly strong judges from the judicial mainstream. Liberal groups disagreed. Nan Aaron, president of the Alliance for Justice, said Trump was trying to pack the federal courts with ultra-conservatives handpicked by conservative groups like the Federalist Society. German authorities evacuated some 50,000 people from the city of Hanover in northern Germany over the weekend, while experts defused 3 British bombs from World War II that were discovered at or near a construction site. The evacuation was the second largest of its kind ever carried out in the country. The bombs were discovered weeks ago, but it took time to come up with a plan to move what amounted to 10% of the city's population out of the danger zone, while bomb squads were sent in. 2 more suspected bombs turned out to be harmless scrap metal. The city set up programs including museum tours, children's films, and sports to keep evacuees entertained until it was safe for them to return home in the evening. 72 years after the end of World War II, a construction crew found the remains of at least 21 Soviet Red Army soldiers in eastern Germany. The remains of the Soviet soldiers were found in the town of Seelow, about 70 kilometers east of Berlin, during the construction of a bike path. A spokesperson for the Volksbund charity that takes care of war graves told the German news agency DPA there were probably more remains in the ground. Experts will try to identify the soldiers. He said they likely died during the last days of World War II and the final battles for Berlin between the Soviets and Nazi Germany. Some 33,000 Soviet and Polish soldiers and about 12,000 Wehrmacht troops were killed around Seelow. The Vatican is celebrating the Big Bang Theory. That's not as out of this world as it sounds. The Vatican Observatory has invited some of the world's leading scientists and cosmologists to talk black holes, gravitational waves, and space-time singularities as it honors a Jesuit cosmologist, considered one of the fathers of the idea that the universe began with a giant explosion. The May 9th through 12th conference honoring Monsignor George Lemaitre is being held at the Vatican Observatory, founded by Pope Leo VIII in 1891, to help correct the notion that the Roman Catholic Church was hostile to science. The perception has persisted in some circles since Galileo's heresy trial 400 years ago. The head of the observatory says you can believe in both God and the Big Bang Theory. Mario Maglieri, the Hollywood entrepreneur who doubled as a godfather figure to generations of rock stars, from The Doors' Jim Morrison to Guns N' Roses' Axl Rose, has died at the age of 93. For decades, he operated two of Hollywood's most venerable and legendary Sunset Strip nightclubs, the Whiskey A Go-Go and the Rainbow Bar and Grill. It was at the Whiskey that the Doors found a following as the house band of the 1960s. He's survived by his wife Scarlett, a son Mikhail, and 3 grandchildren. A public memorial is scheduled May 28th at the Rainbow Grill. Get ready for Pandora, World of Avatar. It's a new 12-acre land opening at Walt Disney World's Animal Kingdom in late May outside Orlando, Florida. Pandora is inspired by James Cameron's 2009 Avatar movie. But you don't have to know anything about the film, set in an alien world inhabited by the Na'vi, to enjoy the attractions. The marquee attraction is Flight of Passage, where a 3D simulator makes riders feel like they're riding on the back of a banshee, a bluish, gigantic winged predator. Another attraction, Na'vi River Journey, is an indoor river ride in the dark. At night, Pandora transforms into a sea of color with glowing lights on artificial plants and in the pavement. At the entrance, visitors hear a cacophony of bird chirps and animal cries. Well, for more great, inspiring, and fascinating stories, videos, and images, please follow me on Twitter at Larry Rice WX Guru. Thanks for listening, and I hope you have a marvelous day.